Hey everybody, Mike Toy Bonsai Boise. This is my giant Ficus Benjamina. I call this my Bush to Bonsai 3 because it's the third one that I've done. It's pretty massive and it's in a massive pot. And today I'm going to pot it up into a bonsai pot, finally. So I'll take a closer look at it here. And then I'll give you a peek at how it looked when I first got it. But this is it as of right now, before repotting it into the bonsai pot. It's pretty healthy. It's grown out. It's looking good. But let's go back to February of 24, and I'll show you how it was when I first got it. So I found this on Marketplace for $100. It was this giant house plant. Just getting it in and out of the car was job enough. Look at that thing. So that's how tall it was. I wasted no time in hacking it down. Got lots of good cuttings out of this too. Made some ficus fusions that you can see in other videos I've done. And if you want to see the full video on this when I first brought it home, I'll put a link right here. The trick with these Ficus Benjaminas, they can take a really hard pruning, but they have to have some foliage on the branch or the branch will die. So even one leaf, you have to leave one leaf on there or the branch will just die back. So that's how it looked after I hacked it down. Pretty scraggly, sparse. That's kind of normal when you hack it down for the first time. It's not refined at all. Fast forward to October of 24, so this past fall, it had grown out quite a bit, as you can see. And this is some of the growth you can get sometimes where 4 or 5 branches come out of one spot. And you got to stay on top of that because otherwise you'll get reverse taper. Look at that. Really took a lot off again. Keep in mind, a lot of time passed. I don't do that, every month. The big problem with this one are those big potato roots around the base there, which we're going to address today. But you can see one really tall trunk there and then like a medium one, and then the rest are kind of all similar height. That's because it didn't have any foliage down below. So I wasn't able to take it down quite a short. Fast forward a month, and look at that. It back budded right where I wanted it to for once. So what that means is now I can take that tall trunk down to be a similar height as the rest. So that's great news. I'm thrilled. As I mentioned, I've done 3 of these giant bush to bonsais. This is the biggest one. But on the other 2, same problem. Just need it to back bud lower so that I can actually cut it down to size. And it hasn't happened on the first 2 yet. So I was thrilled that it happened here. Here it is, right in the middle of winter. It's got that sort of weak and scraggly looking growth that they tend to get in the wintertime. It's really long internodes, green stems. It's all indications of winter growth. I don't normally trim these much in winter, and I don't normally trim them when they've got that weak growth either. But in this particular case, I'm going to do some strategic trimming because, as you can see there, it's like 10 branches coming out of one location. I don't want a big growth bulge right there because that's what will happen. So I do some selective trimming. Looks pretty sparse and scraggly. Fast forward a few months to April. And at this point, That back budding that I'm so happy about, I can see is stuck and doing well. Take a look at it here. There it is. So then I have to decide if I want to air layer the top or just prune it off. Try it as a cutting. Since I'm feeling lazy that day, I just pruned it off. Unfortunately, it did not make it as a cutting. Darn. Should have done an air layer, but that's okay. So there it is now that I've reduced the height on most of them. There's still one that is a little bit head and shoulders above the rest, but that's okay. Maybe it'll back bud someday and I can take it down, or maybe not. It's not a terrible thing to have one that's a little higher than the rest. I didn't want one that was twice the height, like that last one. Gave it a few weeks, maybe a month. Starting to grow back out. This is now early May in this clip. You might notice that rock right there. That was in there when I first bought the tree. At some point, somebody put a rock in there and it just grew around and it's wedged in there now. Fast forward to now. So it's nice and healthy. Because of that back budding, I was able to bring the really tall trunk down. And I found a pot that I liked. So all the signs pointed to yes, let's repot it. But it's really hot this day, so I'm going to bring it into the garage. So we'll bring it in. Take a closer look. These potato roots are a big problem. And you'll see why here in a few minutes. But the tree itself has got awesome potential. It's kind of like almost like a grove style. My vision or my hope for it is to have sort of a shared canopy with this little grove or clump style of ficus. And then maybe if I'm real lucky, it'll all fuse together and make one big giant trunk someday. I could add more cuttings in there and that type of thing. I'm not sure if I want to. Let's see. But you can see some of those potato roots just rotted off. Yeah, those potato roots, they'll never make the final cut. They're too weird. They've got the reverse taper. You can see when the root first comes off of the base of the trunk, it should be the thickest point and then get thinner as it goes down the line. These potato roots do the opposite. They get thinner and then all of a sudden, boom, they get fat again. Here's the pot I'm going with. Kind of a Tuscan style, I guess. I think that material is brick. I tried to drill holes in one like it one day and it was real hard. So that is 11 inches. And as you can see, the tree is much wider than 11 inches. So another reason we got to get rid of the potato roots. And a little prep. Got my big tub of water for dunking it in. Got my tub for trash and scraps and branches. Then I've got this where if I need to really dig at the roots and I'm having a hard time where I'm at, I can put it on there. Don't know if I'll need it or not. But I try to get that stuff ready ahead of time. Because I've done projects like this before and even smaller where you're kind of like halfway through it and then all of a sudden you realize you need it and you don't have it. So you're kind of scrambling to get it right in the middle. Your tree is laying there, on its side, naked with its roots all exposed. So I try to get it all ready ahead of time so that I don't have to scramble and do that. First, I'm just giving it a light trim, looking for any problem areas, 3 or 4 branches coming out of one spot. Just kind of cleaning it up and getting it into shape. I'll take a second pass at it after we're done here. And then I tried something different. I cut the potato roots off before I even took it out of the pot. My thinking at the time is that the potato roots are not going to make the final cut no matter what. So I could cut them now, I could cut them later. But if I cut them now, I don't have to fumble around with it. In hindsight, I still wish I would have waited, and you'll see why. So you try stuff. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. My advice would be, don't do what I just did. And I certainly am not going to again. Just look at how many potato roots. If you ever wondered what they look like inside, they just look like that. Nothing magical. I don't know what I expected. And that's what they look like, just a big root. That one was rotten, you could tell. Once I get pretty much all the potato roots out of the way, I'm going to pull it out. That's all native soil, or soil it's had in there for 30 years. I don't know if it was exactly 30 years. I think they said it was in there for 30 years, unless I'm mixing that up with a different one. But you could tell when I first got it, it had been in that pot for a long time. And since it's only been just a little over a year, it's not root bound by any means. And the soil is still in pretty decent shape. I'll save the soil and use it for cuttings or something. I don't like to use brand new soil for cuttings. So you can see it still looks good. Perfect cutting soil. And I just sort of dig away at it for a while. I'll go in supersonic speed here because it's really just like an hour worth of just digging at dirt. It's not super exciting, but all sped up, it looks kind of cool. And you can start to see the root structure. This was the $1 million question, like what's it look like underneath? What roots am I working with? What you hope for are a lot of those white roots, those fine feeder roots. And that's not what I got. What I got is more potato roots, surprise, surprise, and then some fine feeder roots at the bottom of the potato roots, which sucks because when you get rid of the potato root, you're also getting rid of the fine feeder roots. So it's not the end of the world, but it complicates things. It's not what I hoped for. It almost seems obvious now in hindsight that it would be like that, but, one can still hope. In the meantime, I just dunk it in the water, try to get the rest of that soil off. But it's kind of like the difference between taking a shower and a bath. A bath is great and all, but a shower will get it cleaner. So I abandoned that idea and bring it outside, give it a shower. Spray down really good, try to get in there, all the cracks and crevices. It's just a massive root mass in there. Yeah, so I don't love the root situation, but you work with what you got. So I'm going to try to really bring down that root mass down to size. I'm a little nervous about the lack of defined Peter roots because, I mean, A, it's a really cool tree with great potential, and I would hate to get too aggressive with it and lose it. And B, it cost me $100, and I've been working on it for a year and a half, so all that time and everything just wasted. So I'm balancing what's required. You know, you gotta cut them off to fit it in the pot with caution. So it's a balance. I run into a problem right here. This middle part of that root mass, it's just like a solid root ball, I guess. And I can't even get my little clippers around it. So I try a few things. I try chipping away at it. That's going super slow and frustrating. I get my big lobbers. And that's not really working either, because you kind of need 3 hands. 1 to hold the tree and 2 for the lobbers. I tried wedging it like under my arm and holding the tree, and it was just kind of awkward, not really working. So I got a few more chunks off, but yeah, you can kind of see there just little bits at a time. I tried a saw at one point. Even a saw wasn't working great. The roots on the Ficus Benjamina are kind of mushier than, like, say, a maple or something like that. So it just gets kind of mushed in your saw. I mean, it works, but not very well. You have to clean up your saw like every 10 seconds. But I finally chipped away at it quite a bit. Then chipped away some more. That right there is like a half hour's worth of chipping away. And then I finally just compromised and realized I'm going to have to just go for it, leaving what roots I can while still fitting it in the pot. It's not the end of the world. Over time, it will grow new roots. You hope that it will grow new roots in the spots you want it to grow, and then you can get away with chopping more of that root mass off. So it's just a process. It just takes time. My normal soil mix: perlite, pine bark, pumice, lava rock, and a little bit of safety absorb in there, I think. By the way, that scoop I'm using right there, it's just the scoop you would use for like a litter box. It's a fine mesh, but it's kind of nice because you can, as you scoop one up, you can sift the soil right there in the scoop just to get all the last little dust and stuff off. Trying to get it positioned. Really not a whole lot of wiggle room it just kind of is how it is. But remember earlier when I chopped off those potato roots, maybe a little hastily in the beginning? It was worth a try. Well, you're going to see where it sort of bit me. A couple of those cuts were just slightly too high. I noticed a couple other little knobs of roots here and there that I can get rid of. Fill it in the soil, work it into the roots. This part also takes a while, so I'll go real fast through here. really being careful to make sure that there are no air pockets in there. So here it is. Here's the issue. It's not like this on all of them, but there's a couple of spots where my cut points are just too high. I can't put the tree itself much deeper unless I pull it out of there and redo a bunch. So what I end up doing is I just sort of mound up some soil all around those cut points that are too high. The problem with this is that as you water the tree over and over, soil just erodes. So I try something to stop that from happening. So the soil level is uneven in spots. Did I mention that this is not in perfect shape yet? Because it's not. Didn't go exactly the way I hoped, but it's definitely, we made some monumental leaps forward on the progress of this. I put some little decorative rocks, kind of like a retaining wall, essentially, around the mounds of soil just to stop it from eroding away. Which I think is going to work, and it has worked so far. It's been about a week now since I've done this, and so far so good. So then I'll go and give it a big rinse, water it down, and I'll show you my plan for aftercare on this, because that's pretty important too. You don't want to just take it out and leave it in direct sunlight right after something like this. Could put too much stress on the roots. So I water it down for a while, basically until the water starts to look clear as it's coming out of there and not cloudy and dirty. Take one last look here at the branches, trim it up just a little more. But I like how it looks. Yeah, the root situation didn't go exactly the way I would hope, but I like it a lot more in this pot and at this size than in the pot it was in and without those potato roots. So I'm still extremely optimistic about the future of this tree. I mean, just the size of those trunks in there alone, it's really hard to find that, at least around here. I left some branches lower than I would normally do because I'm hoping to back bud it down there. So I'm kind of just letting those parts go for now. I'm not into refining it a lot today. As for aftercare, I'm going to bring it to my back patio because my back patio faces east, which I'll show you. So it ends up getting great morning sun till about 11 to 12. And then it's in the shade the rest of the day, but it's still very indirectly bright. It's a light colored stucco, so it really reflects light well. So that is east that way. So it gets great morning sun, then the shade the rest of the day. And I'll probably keep it back here for a couple of weeks. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your day.